So the big question is this: how do passionate golfers like you and I develop a stock shot day in and day out? A stock shot that's as reliable as the sun coming up in the morning. That's the question, and this podcast is the answer. Welcome to Stock Shot Secrets. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Stock Shot Secrets. Now today I am going to go into an excruciating amount of detail as to what a tour player, what a professional golfer thinks in the round of golf leading up into an important event. Now, I want to share this. This is going to be for some it might not, but you know, we're on the community text line. I'm texting with these players, or our stock shot, our roomies, if you will, and they're like, we'd really like to hear more about the mindset of what you had when you were competing inside the U.S. Open qualifying, which was just a week ago, right? So, and we had some posts on Instagram that got a lot of traction, so hopefully you guys are enjoying that, and go check that out if you haven't seen that on Instagram. But I wanted to go through, essentially, what does it look like when you're prepping and when you're in an event that matters? Now, this isn't necessarily like, hey, what are you doing on your Saturday afternoon game, like when you're playing with your son, right? Like if I'm going to play with Adler on Sunday or after church or Saturday afternoon, like I'm not going to this amount of detail, right? We're just going and having fun. But I'm talking about like, this is like your member, like let's say you're going on a dude's trip and you guys are all competing, or a girl's trip, or whatever it may be. This is kind of whatever it is that is. Probably maybe a little bit more geared for a competitive player, but everybody has competition and their competition varies like what that is. So first and foremost, the thing is about all of this stuff when it comes back to it, to kind of set the stage for this. And I'm going to talk more about this in detail at a later episode, but at the end of the day, you are trying to build a swing that is built around timing. Every golf swing revolves around timing. It doesn't matter if you're Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, Jim Furyk, like best golf swing, kind of different golf swing. They all rely around timing. Now, the difference is that you'll hear me say that all tour players have made their inconsistent golf swings perfectly consistent. So the timing of their swing is consistent. Now, what that ends up doing, if you can kind of break this down, right, and we're going to talk about this later, it then goes into that helps your balance, your tempo, and your tension awareness, right, and your tension levels. And the things that change, that feed that system, the timing, feeds the fruit, like blooming of great timing in a swing, is the root system that piles into all of that stuff. That's emotional resiliency. It's your self-talk. It's think box, play box, memory box, adrenaline management. What do you do in between shots, right? Spirit of the game, like why do you even play? All of those things, happiness levels, like if you're in a fight with your wife and you're teeing off, you're probably not going to play good, right? Like the day of recording this, Scotty Scheffler got arrested this morning, which is a story in a podcast in itself, but like I'd be interested to see how he plays today. I haven't checked. Be amazing if he plays good. It would just show how like incredible he is. I'm a big Scotty Scheffler fan. But it all culminates in that. So the day before, 2 days before a tournament, right, I am going to go on Google Earth, and I am going to go in and I am going to map the golf course. I'm going to use programs like Decade, which has on their app, Decade's an app, and it can show a really cool picture of like some driving trees. And essentially, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, it'll show like, hey, if I aim here at this tree and I have a dispersion of say 45 yards off the tee, this is like my right and left points of where I'm going to hit 80% of my shots, right? There's another amazing program that I just found out about called Shot Pattern, which is equally as good and also shows what some strokes gained are. So regardless, I'm going to go in 2 days before, and I am going to chart the course as to what my eye lines will be hitting my tee shots after. Because the tee shots at your home course never change. I repeat, they never change. You are trying to hit it off the tee. Like on hole 1 at Worthington Hills, you are trying to hit a ball 256 yards off the left edge of the right trap every time. Now, if it's downwind, I might hit a 3-iron. If it's into the wind, maybe I have to punch a driver. If it's normal wind, it's like a little 3-wood, right? So it's the same club every time, and I'm aiming at that tree. Now, as I'm doing that, I'm charting all of that stuff. That was what that Instagram video was, of like what my charting of my tee lines are, right? Now, when you go and play the practice round, and I have to help you guys. Not unfortunately. Fortunately, I have to help you guys, and I'm teaching golf, and I'm being a dad, and being a husband, and all these things. I didn't even get a chance to play a practice round. So I played the U.S. Open with no rounds under my belt. I hadn't played in like 6 months. So I kind of went up there cold turkey. I was practicing a little bit, leading in for about a week, and I hit some balls on grass once. But I went in there, and normally the day before, I would then go play a practice round, and I would be charting the course, and I would be charting, like, basically seeing if my tee lines were correct based upon what I saw on Shot Pattern, Decade, or even Google Earth, if you want to do the free version, right? Google Earth, anybody can use. And then I'm charting the course, and I'm saying, okay, where on the greens are the zero lines? And I'm checking the 4 quadrants of the green, just trying to find what are the straight uphill putts, right? And it's probably, there's a video inside of that, inside of our course management course, inside the Golf Room Everywhere, inside the Course Management Secrets video series. But after I do that practice round, right, then it kind of gets into playing, and this is kind of what I want to get to, is that the night before, golf as a competitive golfer, and I've said this before, is the most self-centered, like narcissistic sport on the planet. At least it was, unfortunately, for me. And the reason I say that is because everything that you're doing leading up to playing good is learning how to put yourself in a state so that my timing is good. So all of the things that we talked about, the root system, all of those things are in line. Like my emotional resilience is in line. My self-talk is in line. My nutrition is good. My sleep is good. So bless my wife's heart. Like if I had a tee time at 7:30, like I had to get up 3 hours and 5 minutes before my tee time. So it's like, I got to get up at 4:25, sweetheart. So it's 8 o'clock and I need 8 hours of sleep. Is that right? Yeah. 8 hours. Right. So it's like, we're going to bed. And she's like, but it's 8 o'clock. I go, yeah, I know. We're going to sleep, right? So it's the whole thing is trying to get into this emotional state so that you can manage yourself. So I go and I'm doing some stuff. My son and my father come up. My father flies in from Washington, which was amazing to be with him and be with my dad. So you kind of have 3 generations of Morris's kind of hanging out. And when I'm driving to the course, I will purposely stay at a hotel that is 15 minutes away from the course. Now, the reason I do that is because I am working on what I call diaphragm breathing, right? Or I think my sports psychologist, Sean Fee, says box breathing, which I think is the same thing. But essentially, I'm driving to the course, and I am driving, and I am just working on my breath through my nose and then out through your mouth. And it's going all the way down to the bottom of your tummy. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm trying to work out what's called your heart rate variability, right? So I learned that tactic through my team that I worked with at Vision 54, and I'm trying to learn, I'm basically starting a meditation state of like what I want to be with for the day. And even before that, when I was doing it and like warming up, it's still kind of doing that. But when I get in the car, it's really about that time. And I'm trying to drive to the course slower than almost the speed limit. Why? Because I don't want to be stressed out driving. I'm trying to make it so that my DHEA levels, which are the levels that basically spark the best chance to allow you to get into a flow state and or the zone, I'm trying to make it so that those DHEA levels are rising, because if my cortisol levels get above my DHEA levels, it takes 8 hours for those puppies to reset, which is why you go to sleep, you play bad, you want to wrap a golf club around the tree, and then you wake up and you're like, hey, I think I'm ready to go play golf again. But we want to make it so that our levels of DHEA are always higher at the end of the round than they were at the beginning of the round, regardless of outcome, right? So as I'm driving to the golf course, I'm driving there, I'm driving slow, and I'm breathing. Now, when I get to the golf course, an hour and 40 minutes before my tee time, unless they don't have a gym. But for this intents and purposes, they did. So I went to the golf course, I show up at the golf course, and then I go into the gym, and I go through a 20-minute warm-up, right, at an hour and 20 minutes, or I get in there an hour and 35 minutes before my tee time. So now I'm going through a 20-minute warm-up which puts me, while I'm doing that warm up, while I'm doing that, I'm breathing, but I'm also like legitimately visualizing hitting good shots while stretching. And the older I get, the more important this stretching becomes. To the, like, I need to do, like, I used to be able to just trunk slam and then just go out and play. Can't do that anymore. My body will hurt for 2 days after that. So I'm having to stretch, like do my 90-90s and do all the stuff that like Aaron and Lindsay have taught me at the golf room, of like how to activate my body so that I don't feel like I'm 100 playing. Like, one thing that like this you roomies don't understand in regards to your swing is that your body can only do, your swing can only do what your body will allow. And if you're not activating your body, you're not going to swing it like to your fullest potential, right? You have a unique design, like a genetic ability inside of you, and you're trying to get everything in line so that you can play up to that unique genetic ability that has been implanted to you in birth by God that says you could play as good as this seed would allow, right? So I'm trying to get all those systems in line. So I'm working at, I'm stretching, I'm leaving, and like I'm sweating, right? Like I am sweating, and I'm warmed up for sure. Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying this episode of the Stock Shot Secrets podcast. If you are enjoying it, be sure to like this episode. Be sure to subscribe so you can always see when they're coming out. And most importantly, if you would be so kind to be able to share this podcast with other passionate golfers who are trying to get better and build stock shots, because it grows through you sharing it. Thank you so much for tuning in. And now back to Stock Shot Secrets. Now, time to go to the course, or I'm at the course. Now, time to go to onto the green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the putting green, and I'm going to set up, and I'm going to get 2 tees and an alignment stick, and I'm going to put 2 tees, and I'm going to put them eerily close to my club head. So I'm going to put my club head down on the ground. I'm finding where a straight uphill 5-foot putt is. I put my alignment stick down so it's aiming at the hole, and then I put the 2 gates right behind the toe and the heel of the putter. And they're very, very close so that I have to hit center contact. If there's a chalk line on the green, like this putting green there was, so I used the chalk line, right? So now that I'm now going to hit about 10, I'm going to hit 7 to 10 putts with my left hand only. So I'm putting my right hand on my shoulder, and I'm hitting these putts left-handed. Then after I do that, I'm going to put my hand on my left shoulder, and I'm going to hit 7 to 10 putts with my right hand. Then I'm going to hit 7 to 10 putts with both hands. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to warm up my hand-eye coordination, just like a basketball player would like work on their dribbling skills, and a soccer player would work on their dribbling skills, and a wide receiver is going to learn how to catch. I'm kind of warming up and activating my hand-eye coordination so I can get awareness of the club face when I'm playing. Okay. So after I've done this, I started at 8:15. I have an hour and 15 minutes till my tee time. I'm going to do that. That's going to take about 7 minutes. Now, after that 7 minutes, I'm now going to I'm going to do the ladder drill. So I'm going to put an alignment stick 2 feet behind the hole, and then I'm going to walk out 15 feet. And I'm going to try to hit 3 out of 3 balls past the hole and then short of that stick that's behind the hole 2 feet. Once I do that, I'm going to go to 20 feet, hit 3 out of 3, and then 25 feet, 3 out of 3, and then 35 feet, 3 out of 3. So now I've kind of calibrated the speed of the greens. Now I've got about an hour left for my tee time. I'm going to finish that by taking 2 balls, and I'm going to just start hitting like 20, 30 footers, right? Like more speed stuff, right? Because I don't want to, the reason why I'm not going to really work on 8 footers, 10 footers at this time is because I'm trying to do stuff to like build confidence and get a feel for the green speed for that day. Percentages of a 12 footer, I'm not going to make those. So the point is that if I'm hitting those, I'm probably not going to make them, and therefore I'm going to feel like crap walking to the first tee. And this whole thing is getting me, what I'm trying to tell you is I'm trying to get myself into a state so that I have the best chance to play good. So that's why I do that, right? So now, after I've done that, now I've got about 55 minutes to my tee time. So now I'm going to walk down to the chipping green, and I'm going to start to work on chips. Now, the first thing I'm going to do with chips, kind of like I do with the hand-eye coordination with putting, is I'm going to put the balls in the fairway. I'm not even hitting to a hole. All I'm trying to do is establish perfect contact, like my low point, like, oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. Like, click, click, click. So that now I'm feeling the feeling of the ball on the face and what the ground feels like, right? I'm trying to establish perfect contact. That's going to take about 5 minutes. Now I've got 50 minutes towards my tee time. So now I'm going to drop balls on the green, around the green, and I'm going to hit a bunch of different chips, right? I'm going to hit high flop shots. I'm going to hit little low runners. I'm going to hit 20-yard shots. I'm going to hit bunker shots. And while I'm doing that, I'm trying to make sure that I'm managing my breath, right? Like 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out, 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out. And I'm not putting any inventory as to how I'm warming up. I mean, zero. I'm not like, oh, that chip was good. Oh, no, I suck. Right? Like it's all I'm doing is warming up. I'm not practicing. I'm just warming up. So now after I do that, I'm then going to go to hit on the range. Now, when I'm on the range, there's a few things that I'm going to try to establish. The first is I need to establish how far the ball is going that day because weather is different. Every 10 degrees above 70, the ball will fly about 4 yards further and vice versa under 70. So I need to establish what's the ball doing today. That's why you will see TrackMan behind the players on the PGA Tour. Not because they're trying to figure out like what their club path numbers are and face angles and stuff like that. They're just trying to see how far is the ball going today. They're trying to establish the carry yardages because carry and making this ball have the same carry is paramount to playing good. It's more important than hitting it straight. Distance control is more important than hitting it straight, right? Just so you can burn that into your brains. And that would be established through proper contact. So when I go to the range, I'm walking up there, still working on my breathing, and I'm going to line up alignment sticks at the target. Usually I'm going to start, I don't like to start with really short wedges like 30, 40 yards because, to be frank, like I have a tendency, if that's the first swing, I'll like chunk them. And then I feel bad about myself. So I want to do something that's like a little bit more full. So probably something at like that 80, 90, 100-yard wedge range, which for me, right? And I'm hitting wedge shots, and I'm shooting the pins. I'm shooting whether it's the pin, maybe that day I was shooting like the bunker lips, and I'm hitting balls, and I'm trying to see how far is the ball going today. Oh, yeah, like my 9 o'clock, my 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock 50-degree wedge, that goes 104. Is that going 104? No, that was 104. Oh, it went 99. Oh, yeah, like, it's a little rainy today and a little cold, which was what it was, right? So it was like, here's why that ball is going a little shorter. So I can calibrate what my yardages are. So it's like, oh, now maybe the ball is flying about 4 yards farther today or 4 yards shorter. Now, as I'm working this through the bag, my gap wedge, and I'll usually go by evens or odds, so I'll go like gap wedge, 9-iron, 7-iron, 5-iron, 3-iron, 3-wood driver, or I would go sand wedge, pitching wedge, 8-iron, 6-iron, 4-iron, 3-wood driver. Then after I'm doing that, I'm going through the bag, and I'll go through all the way through. Now, when I get to my irons, I'm going to make sure, the one thing I will check, the only technical thing that I will do in my practice is I will ensure that my alignment is good. So when I get to an 8-iron or 7-iron, I will then put the club on my heels to make sure that my alignment is proper so that I'm not sitting there hitting balls left and hitting balls right all day wondering why. And it's like, bro, like you're just aim left, which is kind of what I had that epiphany like a week into my practice at the beginning of my week. Last week, my alignment was too far left, and my ball striking was great. Changed the alignment, started striping it. So alignment is obviously key and paramount. You hear us say that like all the time, right? I can't say that enough to you guys. So now, as I'm doing that, right, I'm continuing to hit it. Then I go and hit drivers. And when I'm hitting drivers. But then when I get done with driver, after I probably hit like 5 or 6 drivers, I'm then going to try to play the first 2 holes on the range. So in this case, at this course I was playing, it was a par 5. So it was going to go driver, and then I was going to, because I wanted to build the momentum for the round, I don't want to like come out of the gates too quick. I mean, I'd like to come out of the gates, but I want to like build the momentum. I hadn't played golf in a while, so like I wanted to like get into the flow of the round. So I was going to go driver, 4-iron, wedge. So that's what I did on the range. I hit driver, then I hit 4-iron, then I hit wedge in full routine. Then the next hole, right, was a driver, 8-iron. So that's when I hit driver, 8-iron. And then I hit one more driver to walk off the range. So now what ends up happening is I'm 15 minutes to my tee time. So I started the range session 40 minutes out. I'm done 15 minutes. Then I walk over to the putting green, and then I go and I hit 2-foot putts. And you go, 2-foot putts, man? Like, you're worried about hitting a 2-footer? I go, no, I'm not worried about a 2-footer. But what I want to do is I want to establish starting the ball online and seeing the ball go into the hole. Because I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So now I'm pumping my memory box into seeing the ball fall into the hole, right? So now I'm building like some confidence, right? It kind of be like a player, like a basketball player, like swish, swish, swish. So I'm seeing the ball fall into the hole, and now I'm getting it. Now, as I walk to the first hole, I now am starting to really get into my state. Now, the reason is because I know that when I get to the first hole, I'm going to be really nervous. Why? Because I care. If you're not nervous when you're playing, you probably don't care in this tournament. Now, I'm not nervous like when I tee off with Adler or tee off with a friend like on a Thursday morning game at like some club or whatever. But like if I'm playing a tournament, I'm nervous. And you should be nervous. So as I'm walking to the tee box, I'm starting to breathe, right? And I'm really actively breathing and really trying to like just walk slow, talk slow. And I want to give myself ample time to get there. So I'm kind of walking up 9-10 minutes before my tee time. I go up there. Usually if I eat something like a banana, I will then slow my heart rate down a little bit more. So then that's when I ate a banana. I got my yardage card or my pin sheet. I fold the pin sheet. I kind of look at the pins and kind of chart them in my yardage book to see, hey, what are the green lights hole locations? What are the yellow light hole locations? What are the red light hole locations? So that now I can kind of see, okay, this is kind of how I'm going to map my day because I don't know the pin locations before I got there. And then it's getting ready to tee off. And I think in the tee off, like, there's a whole bunch of that of like when I'm playing, right? Which I want to share with you, just not right now. I'm going to do that on the next one. So come back and hear about how I'm really going about all the different thought process of when I'm playing golf and how I'm managing myself on a golf course, because there's an art to that, because what I'm doing is managing myself on the golf course so that I can ultimately manage my timing, which ultimately allows me to play to the highest level that God has allowed me to play at that certain moment with the amount of skill that I have. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys back again when we talk about what's happening inside the round of this U.S. Open qualifier. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the latest episode of Stock Shot Secrets. Now, as a listener of Stock Shot Secrets, I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to get better. So if you were to go to stockshotclub.com, I'm going to give you 7 days free access where you can send us your video and we will give you personalized individual attention as to what you need to do so that you can start building stock shots. So just go to stockshotclub.com and register there. We'll give you 7 days free where you can try it. And then if we like it, you can stay inside the Stock Shot Club where we can become your coach and walk with you for your entire journey. Thank you so much. And be sure to go visit stockshotclub.com.